And then as 1 Corinthians says, your faith will stand in the power of God, not the wisdom of men. And then he says in 1 Corinthians 3 that Paul and Apollos, though they preached the word, it was God that gave the increase. So you want to know how to receive from a preacher who's preaching right. This doesn't work if the preacher doesn't know anything of what I'm talking about today. But if a preacher knows how to preach from a place of maturity, and then you hear it, you can receive growth on the inside from God if you yourself know how to go on into maturity. But the Corinthians' problem was they were a baby church and they were staying babies. So even though Paul and Apollos and Peter were preaching the mind of Christ, the power of God to help these people, they didn't engage in the process of maturity themselves. So they kept hearing it from a place of immaturity. They kept hearing it as if it was just a natural word. So they began to divide themselves in oh, I'm better than you, or this preacher's better than your preacher, which is really saying, because I like this preacher, I'm better than you. So it was a worldly mess, but it wasn't Paul and Apollos and Cephas's fault. They were preaching the power of God. But listen, it takes two to tango. If you don't want it, if you don't want to receive the power of God being preached, then listen, you can just receive it in the natural, a natural understanding, and it won't work for you. Matter of fact, that's a big part of what the parable of the sower is talking about, and we won't go there. But he says, if any man have ears to hear, let him hear. To him that has the ears to hear, he has, and he'll continue to get more. But the guy who does not have ears to hear, he has not. And then what he thinks he has will be taken away. He'll end up going further and further away. And of course, that is my problem with the radical grace message, is when it's first delivered to you, you are a born-again person. And I'm not saying you lose your salvation day one when you start engaging in a radical grace message. But what that message is delivering God's word in a total natural soul understanding way. It is so deceptive. And then what begins to happen is you don't have ears to hear, and you're going to lose whatever it is you think you might have. In other words, you're going down a wrong path.